So it's the holiday season. We're getting close to Thanksgiving. Christmas is going to be a month away, so all the holiday movies are starting to come out. Netflix is trying to be the new Hallmark and get their movies out before Hallmark, I guess. I know there's a Dolly Parton movie coming up, and there's another with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. So there's going to be movies coming out from Netflix that are going to try to get you the holiday spirit, but I have to say with Jingle Jangle, it's more jangle than jingle. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mashup, and today I'm reviewing the movie Jingle Jangle. Decades after his apprentice betrays him, a once joyful toy maker finds new hope when his bright young granddaughter appears on his doorstep. So for this review, I'm just going to do the good and the bad because it just seems like the easiest way to kind of break it down. And let's start off with the good. So as far as production goes, I feel like this movie has really good production. As you're watching the movie and you see the different scenes and the sets and the decor from the characters, I just kind of get this vibe of like, it seems like a bigger budget movie, even though it's supposed to be more of like a Hallmark movie competitor, but you just don't get that feel from it. You don't see that it's like a B movie. It doesn't come across as like a B movie. I know some people are like, Hallmark movies aren't B movies, but you know what I'm talking about. Like when you watch Lifetime movies or Hallmark movies, you kind of can tell that it's like the production is not that much. It didn't cost that much to make this movie. So I know like with Jingle Jangle, as I'm watching it, I'm getting that like high production value. It reminds me of sets of like from the Santa Claus. And I just thoroughly enjoyed that. And I just thought that really added to the movie. You know, it's set in kind of 1800s time period, and you have the production as far as the sets, you have the characters and the choreography, the music, the acting. It just all kind of came together for me, and it was just something that I enjoyed very much throughout the movie. I think this movie did a really good job as far as the actors that they chose to be in the movie. We have Felicia Rashad, who opens up the movie, which in all honesty, I'm going to say, and I'll bring it up in my bad point, but, you know, the kids in the very beginning of the movie want to read the night Before Christmas. And instead, she decides to pick up a different book, and that book was thick, y'all. And when I looked up the runtime of this movie, it was like over 2 hours. So we went from a book about this big to a book about this big, and I was like, oh snap, Felicia about to read a 2-hour book right here, guys. I laughed so hard when she showed it, when she picked up that book, and I was like, these kids ain't gonna stay up for that. They're gonna fall asleep. Anyways, I'll get to that in the bad part, but I think that having Felicia Rashad, Forrest Whitaker, Keegan-Michael Kay, Ricky Martin, amongst others, that just kind of added to the movie, and I just think that their performances were awesome. I think that overall they added so much to the movie that you may have not gotten if you had other actors and actresses in there. I will say that Ricky Martin and Keegan-Michael Kay make really good villains of the movie, and you wouldn't really think that Ricky Martin is a villain, but I can kind of see what they were trying to do there. He's a toy that's created, and he's, you know, more autonomous. And he's like, you know what, I can use this to my advantage. And so instead of choosing Forrest Whitaker, he chooses Keegan-Michael Kay. And so it's kind of interesting to see that kind of dynamic play out. And I really enjoyed, anything, for some reason, I can't watch Keegan-Michael Kay in anything but like, and not see Mad TV or Key and Peele. So it's kind of funny to see him in this role. He does a really good job of being villainous by also being, you know, kind of awkwardly funny, which I think is what he's really good at. And he can sing too. All these characters can sing and do amazing things performance-wise. So I think his character alone was a really good addition to the movie as Gustafson or whatever his last name was. It was such a weird last name, but it was very funny. The performances, as I was talking about before, in this movie are really top-notch. Not so much just from the actors, but as far as the choreography, the music, you know, Forrest Whitaker can sing, y'all. He can sing, and he's got some real tears, and you just feel his emotion, and it's believable. I think that the granddaughter, Journey, played by Madeline Mills, she is phenomenal. I want her to get more work. I want to see her in more stuff, and she probably has been in stuff I just haven't seen it yet or remember, but I thoroughly enjoyed her performance, and that girl can sing. She can sing, y'all, and I think that she is, between Forrest Whitaker and her, I think she's what really sells this movie, you know, even up to what we find out at the end of the movie. But I think she really sells this movie and kind of just gets you in the spirit of what this movie is trying to say. Also, on the good note, I want to talk about the message this movie tries to give you. Now, this is also going to go into my bad stuff, but this movie is supposed to be a Christmas movie, but I don't feel like it's a Christmas movie. I feel like it's a movie set during Christmas. And what I mean by that is, when I think of a Christmas movie, I think of a movie that invokes the Christmas spirit and gets you into the Christmas spirit. So the movie should be throwing elements of Christmas at you all the time. So like The Grinch, movies I think about Christmas like The Family Stone, maybe Home Alone, stuff like that really kind of gets you into the Christmas spirit. Miracle on 34th Street, all those kind of movies. And I'm going to dare and say, guys, like Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a movie set during Christmas. Anyways, it's that kind of same vibe. And so because of that, I didn't really even get what this movie was trying to give me other than a different message entirely. Like, I didn't get Christmas from it at all. This is a movie during Christmas. Yes, he's a toy maker, but he could have just been a toy maker in general. So I honestly think that this movie, the message that it tries to give is you go through loss, and this Forrest Whitaker's character goes through a lot of loss. His toy is stolen, and that totally disrupts his whole career path. His wife passes away. His daughter, basically they have a separated relationship and she leaves, so he's all by himself. So he is experiencing a lot of loss, and he just doesn't have the drive to be an inventor anymore. And it just, that really brings him down. And so the message is his granddaughter shows up and just tries to get him to believe again in what's hopeful and the joy that's in the world, and try to get him to be, what got him excited to be an inventor in the first place and do that kind of thing. So I think overall the movie does a good job of driving that home, obviously because I was able to explain it to you. So it's obviously doing a good job of driving that home. It just does not do a very good job about being a Christmas movie. And I'm sorry, y'all in the comments below can let me know if y'all feel otherwise, but I just didn't get Christmas from that. Honestly, I think this movie should have been called Buddy. That's what I think it should have been called. Or Believable Buddy, or Buddy's Belief, or something, because they push this other character on you as far as a toy that kind of helps them believe, or kind of shows you that you believe. Kind of reminding me of Tinkerbell, in Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, she thrives off of imagination and believing in her and stuff like that. So as you believe in her more, she starts glowing and gets more Tinkerbellish. So, kind of reminded me of that. As you believe more and more, Buddy gets more hyped up and he gets more powerful and he can do cool things and allow you to do cool things, and you can see that in the movie. So I felt like with that, that was more of what the movie was, and it had nothing to do with Christmas. One of the things I wanted to put on the bad mark was, so we have this character who's supposed to be the postwoman, Miss Johnson, and I did not like her character. I'm sorry. I mean, nothing to do with like her actual performance as far as like her acting or her singing or anything like that. It was just the actual character and her premise on what she's trying to do with Forrest Whitaker's character, Jingle Jangle, and I just didn't like that she was kind of a very domineering, overbearing, crush. Like, she has a crush on Forrest Whitaker, and she doesn't stop at all to show it. I mean, she just is like oozing with like, oh, I love you, Forrest, but trying to get him to like woo her, come over to her side and say, show me some love. I just didn't like any of that. I just thought, this guy is a widower. And so I think it would have been better if there was like more organic interactions between the two. It'd been better if like, she delivered some mail and noticed that he was sad and, offered some kind words, or, and then kept doing that and like offering him something like tea, or, something that kind of was more organic to get them, get him to notice her. And that way they would develop a good budding relationship together versus her just throwing herself at him. That was just kind of like, geez, like, they ain't gonna get him that way. I mean, eventually it works, but I'm just like, golly, I mean, if you want to show this guy who's already had all this loss that you can be something that he can be happy about, then, I don't know, do it another way. All right, one more bad thing is the duration. This movie is way too long. I think it's like 2 hours and 5 minutes, and it didn't need to be that long at all. I think from the very beginning, which I think is okay, when we're actually setting up the story, where Felicia Rashad's actually reading the story to the kids, setting up the story, I think all throughout, there's plenty of stuff that just, I'm not gonna lie, guys, it was putting me to sleep halfway through this thing. I was like, let's just get to it, And I think had it maybe added more of the Christmas elements, or what I found confusing is that it was so long, yet it had all the right elements there as far as what this, to drive this movie. We have the character that has all this loss. We have the villain of the movie. We have what could, set the movie right. So what I don't understand is all this other in between that made it so long, it wasn't needed. It just wasn't needed. So I feel like if they had just, trimmed the fat, made it more consistent and fluid all the way through, I think overall it would have been a better movie. So in saying that, overall, I enjoy Jingle Jangle as far as the actual Jangle part, where we got to see Forrest Whitaker as an inventor who turns his life around after all his loss once his granddaughter gets involved, and I enjoyed all the performances from the actors that we got, but I did not enjoy the jingle part at all because there just really wasn't any jingle there. A snowball fight does not constitute a Christmas movie. Having a deadline of Christmas does not constitute a Christmas movie. You being a toy maker working during Christmas time does not constitute a Christmas movie. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And I feel like Netflix and whoever else was a part of this movie could have done a better job of infusing the Christmas spirit to maybe get Forrest Whitaker's character to believe again, in miracles or whatever it was, whatever you want to call it, versus Buddy the Toy. And that would have been a better way to sell this movie as a Christmas movie. So if I had to give this a rating, I would give it 3 out of 5 Forrest Whitakers. I just don't think that it was, I think that's probably being nice. It probably deserves like a 2 out of 5, but I think 3 out of 5 because I honestly feel like this is a movie that deserves a different title and not be a Christmas movie. I think that would have made it more successful. I know it's doing really well on Netflix, and I've read other reviews and they are giving it good marks, but I just don't know if they're actually scoring it so much as a Christmas movie versus just as a movie as a whole. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. As a movie as a whole, despite the runtime, the performances and acting are really good, and I do think the story is very well told. As far as a Christmas movie, it's not very good. And I think that since it is a Christmas movie, that's how Netflix is advertising it, and they need to do a better job. And that's it for my review. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, what your thoughts are, and please be nice and have a nice discussion. This is, of course, the holiday season, and so we can be nice to each other. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like button. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Justin_McGill. Follow the channel on Instagram at the Mashup. And make sure if you want more videos like this one, you're the notification bell. And I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.